guys, Dan Lane Song here, and I had another part 2 to this intro, the trailer of The Force Awakens. So let's get started. This should be pretty short. Here we go. Okay, so here we are at the 33rd second, and he's going to say, "The Force is strong with in my family." I think let's see what he says.
The Force is strong in my family.
Okay, so here it is. And I wanted to show you that this is a very interesting possible date, but this is the 618-816 Bride of Christ number again. So I just want to show you that we're still getting these codes. We're still getting the 68, which is stock and market, and the 816, which would be an anagram of this, which is a stock market, and also Bride of Christ, and also Allison Parker. If you haven't seen any of the stock market or Allison Parker videos, put those in the search box and you can check out what I mean. So this is another variation basically on the 618-816 number. A lot of things happened in 1968. It's a big year, and I hadn't really thought about these numbers until I started studying numbers, but this 96 number is first of all, it's the opposite of the keystone of the Freemason arch, but it's also the GO counterpart to the FR in free. Free was one of the first words I decoded, and there's a video on that if you'd like to see that. It's kind of where some of this starts. I did untangle or decode things as we went along. So in the very first videos, I didn't know as much as I know now. 9, just the 96 by itself is also code for a 186, because in the word free, that's a F and an R, which is a 6 and an 18, but it is the 169th day. So that tells you that this 9 unpacks to a 1 and an 8. So that makes this 8 right in the core. It's an 816, and then with the outer, there's also an 81, and then there would be you know, if you add the 9 to the 6, it stays a 6 as the digital root. So you can see the poetry of that. It's another 816 plus it's a year. So in the simple and the English gematria, the numbers are too big to get a very good esoteric equivalent. So I'm going to take the 168, put it back in the search engine. We'll see what that is in the Jewish gematria. Well, I didn't find too much in the Jewish gematria, but this is the English gematria, and it equals "May the Force be with you always." And I think that's a tie-in. Okay, sorry, I forgot that I pressed the button. I was like, am I on? So here he's going to say, I think he's going to say, "My father has it."
My father has it.
Okay. So that equals 918. This is a 618, basically upside down. You can see this is a palindrome mirrored up and down, like if this was on a pond. If this was standing next to a pond, the reflection would be a 618. This number also does have its own date connections to other major dates and anti-dates, but that I don't want to go over that in this video. So this one, but right here you have an 11, and you have another 11, and I just recently did a Back to the Books video about 1111. I think it might not be up yet. I filmed it, but I don't think it's up yet. So look for that. It'll be about the number 81. And that 1/9, yes, 1/9 is 0.11111, and I think that has something to do with this. But also, Zachary K. Hubbard would say that the 38 is a very common Freemason number, and I need to watch him again to acquaint myself with what his idea about the number 38 is just by itself. The 153 in the simple gematria, though, this would be the look number, and this is a pretty important, pretty mainstream number, even though I often blank when I see it. It does equal prime numbers, Quetzalcoatl, happy birthday, Albert Einstein, Archangel Michael, the Archangel with a "the" in it. Let's see, there's some more English words. Benjamin Franklin, 4 elements, fountain of life, some of these, you know, kind of iconic phrases here. So it is interesting. So for him to say, my father has it, this would tie in the whole part man, part machine, transhumanist type of idea. Star Wars was really a leader in the transhumanist kind of sympathy for the devil sort of thing, where we sort of all understand what happened to Anakin. Anakin's basically named after the Anunnaki, and there's a lot of reason to believe that the Anunnaki are part machine. There's a lot of Borg symbolism. There's many clues for this. Although I don't think there are clues in the ancient Sumerian tablets. However, if you think of Viracocha as being Anunnaki, which is very likely that he was Anunnaki, he has a Borg face. He has Borg implants on his face, Viracocha. So this is this does go the whole movie, the whole series talks about the ancients and galactic politics. And part man, part machine. And it's amazing how many of our movies now are about part man, part machine. And they're trying to they're trying to calm you down and make you think that it's, you know, it's okay to have part machine. And it's not. Okay, so here we are at the 44-second that he just showed Darth's broken mask. Now it's interesting that here he puts up his bionic hand here. His right hand is gone. And in the last video that I talk about this decode, we talk a lot about the right hand, or at least more than we will in this one.
I have it.
Okay. Here it is. I have it. Equals Mickey Mouse. But this, when I looked this up, I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This equals English, Lucifer, and Oregon in the simple and the English gematria. In the Jewish gematria, it equals Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is a 1313, which is like a 4-4. It also equals violence, 832. That's what we're talking about. The 832 equals this. I don't know how to calculate the Jewish gematria. I don't think it's so hard, and I'm going to try to memorize that pretty soon. Maybe I'll make a little video on that if I think it's probably we all should know how to do this. I have never found tons of value in this, but I guess it's taken me a while to figure out what the Jewish gematria means, but I find that I can tell they're paying attention to it. It equals the apple of his eye. I think that is in the Bible. Mary had a little lamb. I really want to do nursery rhymes sometime. I want to decode those. The 74 times 3 is a 222, and we found that out in the Reynolds High School shooting because they referred to this number so many times. The Reynolds High School was the 74th shooting since Sandy Hook, and just happened to happen in Oregon, which has 74 as its simple gematria. These numbers are basically notorious now. 74 in the simple and 444 in the English equals Jesus, Muhammad, Lucifer, Joshua, gematria, Messiah, London, cross, English, Jewish, the key, Masonic energy, Aurora, occult, Tony, menorah, fruit, Satan's, gospel, Larry, nuclear, tarot, donkey, hand of God, orgone, element, killing, parables, hexagon, melody, bottle, 100, increase, fire and ice. These are all so pretty key to realize. Clouds, high five. This is another saying, just like the word like. That was not an accident that everybody started saying this. This is also not an accident. This was planted. High five basically means, it's an HI, which basically means pi, and this is phi, because your 5 fingers. All right.
My sister
Just want you to see the pass-off moment again at the 5-5. This is my sister has it. And we have a lot of interesting numbers here. Now this number was in the stock market crash of 8/24/15, which is an 868, which is a Lord configuration number. Lord has the 868 valence gematria code in it, and we see a lordly architecture having the 868, including the White House. Well, anyway, in the stock market, which happened on 868, stock market crash was 68. It was 86th on 868. Also, stock equals 68, market equals 68, and stock market equals 816. In the I think it's the English gematria, but it's either the simple or the English. Well, in the background of almost every photograph, they had a gentleman wearing this number on his shirt. And at the time, I thought this could have to do with the jam, the jam code on the last Georgia Guidestones, because J is 10, 1 is A, and a B is a 2, but a B is also a 13, which makes it could be an M. So that was one of my ideas then. But anyway, here it's showing up again. My sister has it in the Jewish gematria. In the English gematria, we have a 1110. So this is like a Rockefeller number with another 1. Very active in the Twin Towers massacre. So it'd be good to take, I'm going to scan this and see what's in this 1012. So this is the take-home message, I think, of the 1012, and I think that was also in the stock market crash. It is the Zion protocol, the protocol of the Zionists. And in the center we have a Bride of Christ or 618 or an 816 gateway, basically right here. It also equals watch, which is 330 in the simple gematria, so that's the Freemason number, the 33. And I do believe that the Freemasons think of themselves as watchmen. Many people who maybe aren't Freemason and think of themselves as watchmen are misunderstanding the role of the so-called angels of the Old Testament. But it's interesting that there's a 5-5 there. So in the English gematria, not only does it equal Rockefeller right there, but then with the extra 1, it equals World Trade Center. Not an accident. So it also equals Feast of Trumpet. The Trumpet Angel. The Creators of Life. Raptured Saints. Book of Revelation. This is the take-home message too. Book of Revelation. They wrote the prophecy, and now they're fulfilling the prophecy, and all the humans are standing with their, not all of them, but many humans are standing just overawed by the fulfilling of prophecy. But actually, some prophecy, that people were predicting didn't really happen. But still, when things happen, especially with Hebrew prophecy, they really do that. Bring out the doom bows, and prophecy was fulfilled. Well, they wrote the prophecy because Marduk Ra started the Vatican with Semite kings. And they wrote prophecy, and they fulfilled prophecy, and they have been, if you read the Zechariah Sitchin books, and I have some back to the book videos in case you don't want to read and you'd rather listen to just the things that I thought were worth making a video on. I think there's enough there to show you that they have been writing and fulfilling prophecy since before and during all these cities of ancient Babylon, all these ancient cities of Ur, and all the ancient Sumerian cities that died in the nuclear war of 2024 BC. It's all about write the prophecy, fulfill the prophecy, and then all the humans will cower and obey. It's the same game over and over again, and humans fall for it every time. So, of course, the book of Revelation is in play here with these numbers. Let's just make sure we see all of this. The four corners, this is important. Four corners of the earth. Okay, so this also equals the King of the Jews and Donald John Trump. And we all know how this was foretold by The Simpsons. let's look at, I didn't know if that was for sure his name, so I looked up his Wikipedia to make sure, yes, that is his name. Interesting because he has a June 14th, which would be a 6 and a 5. And that's kind of like that Prince ratio number, the relationship between phi and pi, that equation that I talk about. All right, so then here, oh look, here we are at the 1. This is like the number where we just were. This, except for we just need another 1. But this is basically the gateway number. If you haven't seen my video about the solar Eiffel Man in Paris, he's 1.01 mile tall. The Horus Senior in Washington, D.C. is 2.02 miles tall. This is basically a gateway number. If you look at CERN from the air, it has a building in this shape. So it's the gateway to another dimension kind of idea. Some of these Cathar castles, they point in a, they built their castles on headings that line up with other castles before they were all killed by the Vatican in the Albigensian Crusade. And they point to gateways. So I have a lot of videos on that. It's very, very interesting. Goes back a long ways and shows you the ongoing politics of our Earth, in case you would like to understand that. Well, okay, so at this moment he says, oh, I think I went too far back. Hold on. Let's go a little farther back here. Okay, so even more interesting, that number shows up at the end of his phrase. Here, we'll find it.
You have that power too.
Okay. So then on the out breath would be a 101. So he says this, you have that power too, and then it's the 101, the gateway number, and then right after that they put this Christmas on the screen. So it's so close in proximity, and there's not really any spacing between this. So it's another way of them saying, you will have this, you have that power too this Christmas. So I should look at that number. But here's the 868 number that we were just talking about, and I haven't talked about it for a little while, but one of the whole magic things about phi is that when you square it, the first 8 and 9 digits of phi stay the same. And so when there's a 286, that's what they're referring to, is it's an 816, but this would be phi squared. Or if there was a 296, like the ISIS in Washington, D.C., she's on the 269th heading. Her legs go on that heading, and that's kind of like FBI. But that's also a reference to phi squared, because as I've told you, the F and the R is really the 6 and the 9, because it's the 196 day. June 18th is 618, which is an F and an R, and it's the 196th day, which shows you that you just find the root of that, and you can also back root it back to from a 9 to a 1 and an 8. So this is there's the Jewish gematria, and then in the English gematria we have the full-on 618816. Again, this is the Bride of Christ and the phi number, and then there's a Trinity in there as well. The Trinity, what it alludes to is that if you do root this 18 to a 9, then you have the Tesla number, that the secret of the universe, according to Tesla, is 369. So in the symbol, in the English gematria, I think the most important thing that this equals is President Barack Hussein Obama. So they say, you have this power too, this Christmas. So they're talking about President Barack Hussein Obama. I feel like that has to be one of the main clues. One other clue about this number, 273, is that if you find the root of 2 and 7, that's a 9 and a 9-3. We also have to realize that this is not only the Jesuit birthday number, 927, but it does allude to 9-3, which is 930, which is it's kind of synonymous with Hoover Dam at this point. There's so many 9-3s around the Hoover Dam, and there were also tons of 9-3s around the Twin Tower incident. So we just need to realize that this is basically a 9 and a 3. So I went over this in the last video. This Christmas, this is the number. Here we have the classic phi number, and here we have, again, this is 81, and I have a video that's coming out about 81. So keep your eyes open for that video, because that is going to explain basically the coordinates of the Oregon-Roseburg shooting. And it equals Twin Towers, Tetragrammaton, September 11th, and more. One World Order, on and on. But in the trailer, they add another phrase to it. Oh, I guess they added to it later. All right, well, okay, that's good. I was going to add the other phrase to it, but I hadn't done it yet. All right, let's keep. So another way to decode these trailers and these movies is based on the visualization. So these would be, I think these, you would find out the name of this ship, and then you would say over a lake or over water. You'd start to take apart the imagery like that. Like in a movie I saw, there were things that stood out, like a character slams a book and there's no reason to slam a book, so a gematria slam a book and it ties right into the numbers of the rest of the movie. All right, here there's a red and black helmet, and there's it looks kind of, I think there's a falcon on this side, I'm not sure, but so I just put in red and black. This is the English and the simple gematria. I had already scrolled down. It equals many things. Red and black equals many things. Esther Martin Thelemic. This is a part of this religion that worships the number 93. Simjaza. This is the supposedly the Pleiadian who was the head of the away team when the other watchers decided to fall. Ishtar, Jeffrey, Friends, Madison, Arrow, Lamb of God, Eternal, Famous, Skull. So these are all really important associations. Yahshua, I don't think that's completely the right spelling. Lord God. This in the Jewish gematria equals 26 together. I mean, not the Jewish, I'm sorry, the menorah gematria. And now I think the 75 here it's a trinity of pi. I think that's the association, and that's why they put so many of these heavyweight words like genius here. Eye of Ra, biblical pi, spiral, Hanukkah. Druids. So, really so many important words. In the Jewish gematria, there's some important words too. Moon, April, Latin. They named that language that for a reason. And look at these other gematria associations. Okay, so red and black helmet. Let me just pop right up here and show you. Red and black helmet equals, it's got the 33 and the 38 in the Jewish gematria, and a 1010, and another 38 in the simple gematria, and it equals Donald Trump. And Ku Klux Klan, Queen of Heaven, Spirit of God, Dome of the Rock. Ella Fitzgerald. So there's more to see here, and we could decode this on a visual basis. Sometimes when a character is wearing a red hat, you want to put that into the gematria counter, or just do red and hat. You will see that 1 is 9 and 1 is 11, and then you will see why these different things are happening in movies. And then eventually we'll become fluent in this, and when we see these things, like for example now whenever I see a red hat, I know in context what they're referring to. So that's all I'm going to do on this one for today. I hope you guys like that. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.